Okay, we are now streaming. Audio's live. Perfect.
Call to order the Park City School Board of Education meeting on August 20th, 2024. And we will go, call it and start the meeting, and then we'll go directly into closed session.
Maybe the pledge.
Okay, you want to do the pledge first here?
Yeah.
Okay, first we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will go ahead, we'll adjourn to closed session for the purpose of strategy session and discuss collective bargaining. Do I have? Yeah, we need a motion. Wait a second.
I'm sorry, just to interrupt. What was the stated purpose for the closed meeting?
Collective bargaining and personnel.
Personnel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you make a motion? Can I ask for a motion to go into closed?
I'll make a motion to move into closed.
Second.
Make a motion to move, to close the open meeting and go into closed session. Yeah.
Apologies for the late start, we were closed and that went on a little bit longer than expected. One note, if you are here for public comment, please fill out a blue form on the table and please give it to Lori Pierce, who's sitting here in the orange shirt. One note is we do not take public comment on personnel. So if you are here to discuss specific personnel, we're happy to take comment by email to the board. Thank you for that. We will move to section 3, consent agenda. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes regular session minutes, June 18th, closed session minutes of June 18th, early learning plan, interagency agreement, review in Park City School District, literacy software contract approval, modification of district property, out-of-state travel requests, personnel, June and July 24 check register, board revenue and expenditures, June and July of 2023.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated. Second.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Where's?
It's
Each
just,
restaurant.
but I'm.
We'll wait for her to come back. I don't want to- I think there are apologies. No discussion, anyone else say that?
No.
We have you on the hot spot, we may have shots. We already used one.
Okay, Meredith, we have a motion on the table for the consent.
Discussion.
Listed under section 3, we're open for discussion. Do you have any comments? The rest of the group, no.
No.
Okay. All right, all in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. We will start with employee group reports. Do we have anyone here from, that's Ms. Morgan?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to a new school year. For those in the room that are coming in new this year, my name is Mary Morgan, and this is Shannon Hayes. We are the Park City Education Association co-presidents. Amidst the ongoing construction, teachers met with students for the first time today and are gearing up for a great year. Last night, both McPolin and Jeremy Ranch had ribbon cutting celebrations, and the community was able to see the finished product of these amazing buildings. In schools that are not finished yet, teachers and staff had prepared incredible alternative spaces for students to learn. Thank you so much to teachers and staff for working tirelessly the past few weeks to have things ready for the first day. And thank you to Mike Tanner and the construction reps for meeting with staff last week. Construction is always a difficult process, so being able to meet face to face is super important to the ones it affects. As we move forward this year, we encourage more of those face-to-face visits, and we invite, again, our district office staff and board members to also continue coming into the schools, as that was very appreciated last year. Teachers always appreciate ongoing communication. PCA would like to extend appreciation for the continuation of our current compensation agreement as part of the funding during tonight's Truth in Taxation hearing. We thank you for your ongoing support of all employees. With a few hot topics coming up this evening, as a whole community, it is imperative that we all continue to keep students at the center of everything we do and say, working together to move forward in a way that teaches our youth that hard situations and difficult issues are better solved when everyone works together, strengthens the core values we want our youth to learn. With so much negativity going on at times, positive discussions that are productive about difficult issues helps children learn to solve hard problems together. Thank you for always keeping students at the center. We encourage everyone to respectfully work towards a common understanding that we all have positive intent with students at the center of all discussions, and that our youth watch and model our behavior, both good and bad. Let's all work together in a world where we all belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
That's very nice.
Is Jen here for anyone? PCCA, okay. We will move on to teaching and learning.
I appreciate it.
So aside from the fact that it was very exciting to be in the schools today and see the classrooms where teachers were already jumping in and starting to have parts about learning, which was amazing to see even as they were switching into new spaces, and some teachers are here that have new assignments, but I got to see a lot of great stuff happening. And initiatives and things that we've been working on, particularly our ELA K-3 adoption from last year. All of those pieces and the trainings the teachers are working really hard on making sure that that gets rolled out properly. So I wanted to share that with you. And then I have one thing for tonight that is future facing for us in our district. And when the USBE created and adopted the Portrait of a Graduate, we in Park City School District were one of the earliest adopters. But as time has gone on, we have realized we need to make it our own. And there was a group of people working this summer to make it Park City's version of a Portrait of a Graduate. And so the thing I want to show you this afternoon is how we got from what's on the screen, which is something that you have seen before, but it's the USBE Portrait of a Graduate. You can see that it's coded blue, yellow, and green. And what you have in front of you, so I have it there, the small one, and I'm going to show you how it walks over to our Park City version of a Portrait of a Graduate. As the group came together in our Reach the Summit Transformational Academy at the end of June this summer, we really worked on what the values were for our community here in Park City and how we could make the Portrait of a Graduate something that was manageable for us. So you can see our mountains, you can see our logo, you can see the compass there pointing to the direction of what we would like to be the ideal for a Portrait of a Graduate for our students. At the top of the compass, and if you see on the left side here, you're gonna see a yellow sticky note, cover one when we've accounted for it. So at the top of the compass, you see lifelong learning. And there you can see that it was one of the dimensions in Portrait of a Graduate. Under lifelong learning, you can see academic mastery, which in Portrait of a Graduate, that's at the top left or the first highest priority. But for us, we realize that in our community, what we value is that students are learning throughout their life. It also includes in that point of the compass, financial and economic literacy, which in Portrait of a Graduate was also combined with civic literacy, which is a very important topic in our community now. So we have financial and economic literacy under lifelong learning, but one of the points of the compass under community engagement, we pulled out civic literacy because we want that to be an emphasis of something that our graduates are able to say that they have been educated and that they are great citizens and part of a community. The final one under lifelong learning is personal growth. And then if we move around the compass to future ready, we get to see what are called the, sometimes they're called the 4 C's, but we're going to be looking in the yellow there in the center. So there was collaboration and teamwork. We shortened that to collaboration and realized that when you're collaborating, you must be communicating. creativity and innovation, also critical thinking and problem solving. From the top section, we put digital literacy into future ready, but we did add one word. Our students, as they leave, need to be able to make a value-based decision about how they are as for digital literacy. So we added the word citizenship there because we want them to be educated, that they are great consumers and contributors in the digital world. At the bottom of the compass, you can see wellness, which you know is included and embedded in our strategic plan. It's all throughout our whole pre-K to 12 system. Down at the bottom in the green, you can see that one of the categories was hard work and resilience. But we know that our post-pandemic generation, what resilience, that's why that's first instead of hard work, not that they're not both important. Then honesty, integrity, and responsibility. And for our final point of the compass, as we talked about community engagement, we already had civic literacy on there, respect and service. So I wanted to share this with you to let you know that we are making the portrait of a graduate our own as we move forward with our other district initiatives and continue with the work that we're doing. This is where we are pointing as we stay with our strategic plan, and we wanted to present this to you tonight. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, operations report, please.
Good afternoon. This is the board operations report for the 20th of August, 2024. I'm proud to say we had a very successful opening today. All the departments were really hitting things out of the park. Buildings and grounds, the facilities were ready for the first day of school. Big thanks to Todd Hanson and his team for pulling that off. It's quite remarkable. Ops is putting the finishing touches on $4 million in summer capital outlay work, including boilers, concrete. We've seen a lot of the surface work that's been going on here in the district. Ops and finance met with the developers at Studio Crossings to secure workforce housing that should be available to the district of Q4 2025. Work continues on a contemporary rewrite of the interlocal agreement with Park City Municipal and Basin Rec with a target completion date of the 31st of December. The old interlocal agreement is in place until the new one is complete. Transportation, again, the drivers and the buses were ready for the first day of school. Big thanks to Rich and his team for pulling that off. Our staffing right now is adequate with 2 new drivers in the training pipeline to help us recover some losses we had this summer. Park City School District will receive 3 propane buses this year and 2 electric buses, as we talked about, next summer with grant money. The bus lane was returned to Transportation Department at Ecker and for student loading and unloading, and it'll be striped, we hope, this week if the weather allows us to. Child nutrition services likewise was ready for the first day of school. Big thanks to John Hopkins and his team for making that work. Meals were served today for the first time from the Ecker Hill kitchen, new kitchen, and with the delivery lines and the students in the new cafeteria area. So that is all operational for us. Human resources, our team welcomed 32 new teachers to our ranks this year, along with a similar number of ESP personnel. Big thanks to Craig Jensen and his team for doing that. Our staff right now are working at completing mandated training courses in Canvas, our online learning module. Security, we welcomed 6 new deans to the ranks of the school district this year. They will be trained with partial duties in House Bill 84 required school security specialist duties. Our school security specialists are receiving training in the standard response protocol, internal threat assessment, and I'm working closely with them to build that capacity on those folks who are going to be our security experts in-house when we go to the schools. The Summit County Sheriff's Office submitted a budget request to the Summit County Council for SROs for our 4 Park City School District county schools with an effective date, we hope, of January of 25. We're obviously waiting on approval for funding there. Zero Eyes, our AI-based weapons detection, firearm detection platform was integrated with Ajax this summer, where if a firearm is detected, Ajax will automatically push out a lockdown to our schools. And it was tested with two exercises this summer with Summit County Sheriff's Office and the Park City Police Department. And Park City School District will participate in a countywide exercise this summer, which will test our evacuation procedures and transportation, along with interfacing with our county and city assets for security. So, any questions?
So I've heard of the air conditioning.
Oh, yeah. AC in the high school, and probably,
Yeah, we
it's hot in there.
we're on it.
Okay. I need to bring my portable in tomorrow, or you think it's gonna get corrected? Thank you, Martin.
We'll address it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what does finishing touches mean for Ecker? And I've heard 1 to 4 weeks before this is complete. On the district website, it said that this phase of construction was supposed to be finished by August 20th, which is today. Was that the plan not to have these classrooms ready? What's the?
Would you like me to brief the buildings and grounds or the?
Yeah, we may as well.
piece
Yeah.
right now?
I do have a couple questions about that last report.
Oh, okay, I'll address
Do that.
it.
Just asking how many buses are ideal, how many more drivers do you need right now to be ideal?
It's we lost 3 this summer, we recovered 2. We had one who just gave us a 2-week notice, so at least 2 drivers to make us healthy.
Okay, is that impacting some of those bus routes that we got back on board last year?
No, we're able to cover
Okay.
those, right, as we did last year,
Great.
yeah.
Thank you. And then the deans?
Yep.
If the SROs get approved, I know, is their role, what is their role? Right now, they're acting as that, and
Yeah.
does Ecker have an SRO right now?
Okay, so House Bill 84 was
Right.
a revolutionary change in
Yeah.
school security in Utah and making Utah one of the cutting edge states for school security. So in that, they established a state school security chief,
Yeah.
a county school security chief, who's Todd Davis at the Summit County
Okay.
Sheriff's Office.
Mhm.
And they have a LEA security director who's me, that's always been my role. But then also we have in each one of the schools a requirement to have a school safety specialist,
Okay.
which we had under House Bill 61.
Right,
But now we had to change that because they never didn't allow principals anymore.
Right.
And since we were bringing in deans who were going to have work in Title IX and OCR compliance and all those pieces, one additional duty that they were able to assume that they had some bandwidth was for the school security specialist.
and that sounds like it's a temporary one, should we get this other funding? And,
No.
No. So
That's
what's
a
gonna
permanent
happen with the
requirement under
SRO?
House Bill
Are
84.
we looking to get SR, like at least at Ecker, or?
So the SRO conversation is a different piece of this.
School safety specialist does not replace the SRO at all.
Okay.
The SRO, they have to work in conjunction,
Okay.
so the SRO needs a school liaison person to
Okay.
do the school safety training. So you actually need a coordinator plus the
Okay.
SRO.
So we're still looking for the SROs for the other sites?
Yeah, school safety specialist,
And then
Sorry.
the county, the SRO, then today
Yeah.
at Ecker, he's gonna be between Ecker and Jeremy,
Right,
but those are his assignments. So it's
Okay.
awesome, we've not had that.
right.
so the school safety specialist will have duties that will help us establish a safety culture in each school. They'll be working on the school-specific safety plan, the personnel that supports that plan. They'll be working to secure the perimeter of the schools, working with the custodians to make sure that it happens. And ensuring that the standard response protocol is practiced within the school. They'll be the ones running the drills, running that for state. So they're really taking a lot of burden of these duties that used to reside with the principals and having it all in one shop. And it gives me the opportunity to standardize that with these folks. So I put together a school safety specialist toolkit that has all the pieces they need for success, and I'll walk through them with that on a bi-weekly basis when Carolyn brings the deans in with her portion.
Okay,
So we're gonna work closely with them to build that capacity over next year. As far as the SROs, the goal is still to get 1 SRO for each school. As I mentioned, Summit County Sheriff's Office, Todd Davis, who is the county security chief, petitioned their Summit County Council for funding for SROs for all of our schools in the county. Park City Municipal is in the process of those discussions, but that hasn't bubbled yet to the city council. Summit County is on a calendar year fiscal year. Parks and Municipals on a June fiscal year, similar to the school district, so their timing is naturally a little bit separated, but as soon as we get closer with Parks and Municipal, they'll be petitioning with the city council. And who knows if the city or county councils will actually fund these, we hope that they will.
Yeah.
But we do have funding from House Bill 61 for at least 2 years from SRO at Ecker. And that was always my goal, was to get that in there first. If we had to go for one place, that's the place where we're gonna put something, because we're assuming another grade level there.
Yeah.
And we all know that those grade levels are kind of where problems start to emerge for kids, so that's our intention.
Okay, appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and going back to construction updates, I'm proud to say we had the ribbon cutting at Jeremy yesterday. Went really well. And this is the last time this project will be mentioned in my monthly report. You'll probably be appreciative of that. Really nice opening, great facilities. We're very proud of what went on there. Same thing with McPollen. We had a ribbon cutting last night, a little longer, as Joe mentioned, because we had it in a bilingual status. And again, last time that will be mentioned in my report, McPollen. Harley's Park is on schedule, on budget. Nothing but smiles over there from folks. We returned to the district what we took last year for renovations. We reestablished a new cafeteria, reestablished a new gymnasium, a new band room, an additional classroom, cleaned up the hallways. And so the staff there is tickled pink with what we have. And of course, now we're still working on the expansion for the preschool, and that's going to be going on through this coming spring, with a substantial completion of spring of 2025. Trailside, likewise, we had some great work that happened over the summer there that allowed us to return 2 new kindergarten classrooms to the inventory, and a new bus drop-off and playground for our earliest learners there. Hats off to the team for making that work. The additional expansion for additional pre-K spaces moving along well also. With much of the foundation wall work already in place to support that, and again, that was substantial completion in spring of 2025. Park City High School, again, we had 100+ workers in there last week, trying to pull things all together for phase 1, the new CTE wing. Carpeting, furniture, data wiring, and cleaning were completed over the weekend. We welcome students there this morning. There's still some rough edges that we're working through, but certainly safe and productive and beautiful spaces for our teachers to walk into in CT. And it was great this morning to see many of the teachers already had those classroom spaces set up with their things in there, and just a remarkable space. So we're hoping to have some kind of community night there within the next couple of weeks, introduce the community to those really nice new spaces. At Ecker Hill Middle School, in direct reference to Meredith's question, we had 130 workers there on site last week, preparing for new wing A for the students. We had carpeting, furniture, and data wiring were completed there over the weekend. Students, as I mentioned, were served lunch from the new kitchen and serving areas today. The bus lane was returned to normal use, where now instead of being in a church lot and having the kids walk over like we had for last year, they're actually going back into the safer location right behind the school. Final wiring, connections, and fire testing will happen in wing A this week, allowing us to reliably move students into those 12 new classrooms, we hope by next Monday, which is the 26th. The target was to bring that wing A on board for the opening of school. 99% of the work was complete. What wasn't complete was data wiring, internet access, intercoms, telephone, and we felt that made the save unsafe for the children. And so we enacted a plan that Missy and Garrett put together to operate the schools without occupying that wing A on a temporary basis. And we hope to have that shored up by next Monday. So that was the delay there.
So right now that is just for another week. I heard
Well, that
4 weeks.
Our target this week, we're well on track to make that happen. We have an inspection on Thursday for the fire protection. I'm told that we're on track to make that work. Like I said, the data wiring was the big piece of that, and Drew and his team are working with their contractor on Thursday to pull that all together. I do have to tell you that the team had a remarkable heavy lift, to work these projects and get them ready for the school year. We knew it was gonna be tight, from the minute we, embarked on this very aggressive schedule. But we're very proud with what we've been able to deliver, and, it's remarkable. We had people there literally all last night, getting the facilities ready for the
I
kids.
do think we did those tell the teachers, let's plan, if it's gonna be long, what if it were 4 weeks, what if it's 2 weeks? What do you think we're gonna do, give third or maybe prep them and have them consider modern contingency, then, you know, have it be, and then, no, you're not in yet, no, you're not in yet, no, you're not in yet, but we do believe it's. I think that's where they
So
are.
what happened on with those kids that would have been in those classrooms today?
So remember, we're not moving the eighth grade over until 25, 26. We still have lots of time. This was just, building out the wings we had.
So they're
remodeled
just in
from that.
existing space and they have one.
But they are gonna be able to use this pool, but right?
You know, and we always knew this was gonna be a work in progress as the school year progressed, right? We have the center core of the building, the triangle with the atrium area was being touched substantially as part of the plan, and the only way to fit that into a construction flow was to have it happen during the school year. So those areas are walled up. Some areas are more aesthetically pleasing than others. We had a drywall on the first floor. The second floor is oriented strand board, it's secure. It could look prettier, but it is secure, keeping the kids separated from the construction that's ongoing in its center council. There's 2 wings that are being built off the building. Wing A is what we're trying to land for the district on Monday, and we plan on doing that. Wing B is gonna take a little longer by design, and that was part of the plan. So that center portion, along with wing B, are being still worked on in the school year, and we hope to have that in service by January 6th for
The center portion?
the center portion and the new wing.
Oh, and then.
We may not occupy the new wing because we don't have to, because that was extra space that's built to support the 6th grade. Or I'm sorry, the 8th grade. So we may or may not use that. We'll probably have teachers going into that space to prepare for it, but we may or may not use it because then we have to heat it, then we have to secure it, then we have to supervise it. So the center space that we probably will use. The cafeteria area, the gym floor, we always knew we're gonna miss the beginning of the school year. The promise from our builder is the end of August, beginning of September, we'll have that pinned back into service. Not a major impact because this time of year, all of our PE is outside anyway. What is holding that up is that I don't know if you noticed how wet it's been the last month. The floor that's going in there is maple flooring. It has to acclimatize, and the humidity has to get low enough on it to allow us to reliably put it in place. If we put it in place and it's not acclimatized, it'll buckle and bow, and we'll be redoing it again. So the floor is laid out, the building materials are there, it's just waiting for the right humidity level in the wood for us to complete that project. The area where the children will sit, next to the gymnasium, for lunch is complete. It is a concrete floor though, by design again, and as are some of the hallways, because the concrete, because it's a construction project in process. If we carpeted it now and ran construction equipment through those spaces in the evenings and the weekends when the kids aren't there, we're gonna destroy that carpeting. So we elected to move forward with that configuration. So it's not as pretty as we would like. It's certainly safe. It's certainly functional. We missed a deadline by a week, but considering the work that went into getting there, and the only place that we fell short was data wiring, we're pretty proud of getting to that place, and we hope to deliver that for the children on August 26th. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
We do have JD from Mocha here, if he's brave enough to come up, if you have any questions, but JD's really the brains behind the outfit. But I do have to say, out of 6 construction projects that are ongoing, we just landed 2 of them and completed it. We have 2 of the others at the elementary that are really, our folks are very happy, and we're very happy with where they're at. The high school still has some rough edges, but we're really happy with that. And Ecker, we're very happy considering where we're at right now, and it's only gonna get better. And we're looking to deliver that second half, when the kids return from break.
So Farley's and Ecker are following 25.
No, Ecker will be, completed this, for the student arrival, we hope by January 6th, so when kids come back from break. Harley's will be this coming spring. already. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, JD.
Okay, we are gonna skip around a little bit in the interest of time. We're gonna move to 5.1 Young Voter Registration in this initiative. Are Caroline and Maddie here?
We have a few papers. I don't know. There's another chance. We can share each.
Yes. Just the seats right there. Thanks.
Okay, hi, I'm Maddie McHenry. And I'm Caroline. And we're the co-presidents of the Park City Youth Council, and we're here just to discuss incorporating young voter registration into US government classes in Park City High School. Luckily, Utah is one of 22 states where we're able to pre-register to vote at the age of 16. And we think that it'd be really cool and important if we could incorporate that into our government class at the high school. Yeah, we also just think it would be significantly more, I guess, effective than what's been happening in the past where there's like a stand at the lunch tables, just because it will give all of the students at the high school like an opportunity to know about voter registration and also have a chance to do that in class. So we just think it could get a lot more action. As members of the Park City Youth Council, it's really important to us to get involved with the community. So with the help of you guys, we think it'll be way easier and more effective, and we just want to know what our next steps are and what we can do next.
All right, I think. This would need to be added to curriculum. So what I would recommend is that you guys work with Stacy Briggs, who is right there. And create a proposal for a curriculum amendment, which we can put on the agenda next board meeting.
Okay.
And then discuss at that board meeting and make a decision on whether to incorporate. Do you have any questions or thoughts on what we'd like to see in that proposal, or any questions on whether or not this is a good idea?
No specific questions, but I will say I think it's a good idea to decide there and like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, my only specific question is what gets you most excited about this, like bringing in speakers, is it, how do you envision being the most effective in getting pre-registration students engaged?
Well, it only takes like 5 minutes to pre-register. Caroline and I have both done it, and it's super easy, and we just think that it would be a great thing to add to the curriculum. I mean, I guess like being part of the youth council, like we've been trying to get more involved in politics, and like we've been behind the scenes at some of the Park City government events and whatnot, and we just think this could just be one more thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
No, yeah, I think that's great. I think it's super unique to be able to do this, because you could expand it in the curriculum, like the classroom, that
Mhm.
envision why it matters.
Yeah, and then we were thinking like, if this could be possible to happen in Park City, like we know it can happen in Utah too.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. And congrats on the reference page. I appreciate that. Well done.
Yeah, and I would think about your proposal when you want it to be taught, so.
Yeah.
We can work with Stacy on that and curriculum, but you know, whether that's a junior year course or sophomore year.
Yeah,
or-
the government class is a senior course, so,
Okay.
so it, kind of is perfect, especially like going to college. I think a lot of people have a lot going on, so
Yeah.
being able to do that right before is pretty easy. Yeah.
Cool.
Very good.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thanks for being here.
And then thank you.
All right, thank you guys. All right, let's do a quick, super report and then we'll go into public comment.
I'm gonna speak up. So 24-25, we are traversing to a new year. That's just our little internal theme as we climb the mountain or to the graduate. Oops, sorry. Yeah, pretty picture, so we can get it posted. I see it. Thanks. The finger in front. So fun pictures to end last year and start this year. This year, we started convocation with a welcome from Dr. Dixon, who's our state superintendent. We honored our years of service recognition, 5-year staff, 10-year staff, 20, 25, 30 years. So that was amazing and fun. We had, just like when you traverse, you first attend to safety. So we attended to safety and security updates. The teachers got to learn about HX and duress. And we were able to, make sure everybody has good common understanding. We moved then into our overview training from Holly Bell, who is the family and student rights specialist at USBE. And we watched a how to report bullying, harassment, discrimination video together. We talked about the new year, what we're looking forward to, some of our successes from last year. And then we heard from Sarah Lehane from Move This World, who is providing supplemental curriculum for us to really help bolster our student resilience, good decision-making, emotional regulation, all of that. The next slide just is a cover from our meeting with Holly Bell. And the next is just a little highlights of the materials that we have available for the We All Belong campaign. The We All Belong campaign is a local Park City initiative, but it is scaling across the country. So we are starting something for any school who might have questions. How do you report? What do you report? And we have a little QR code so anybody can scan those. And we have a statement in our school, district, and community. We respect and honor each other for who we are, where we are from, how we look, and what we believe. No discrimination, no dirt, no hate. There are parent modules, little course you can take, 15 minutes or less, student course, community course, so we can all learn together. And we'll skip through the video, but we have the little video attached, and then we'll go on to the next. We already talked about the ribbon cutting, and our key priority this next year, really to promote safe, supportive, equitable, inclusive school learning environments for all of our students, staff, and patrons. And then we will go on to what's new for 24 and 25. There are a lot of new things. We have a new K-3 ELA curriculum, materials and professional learning that goes along with that. Our kids have been scoring at a really good level, but we want them to be able to break the ceiling, go even higher. You heard about the portrait of the graduates tonight with Stacy and our RTSA committee. It's all a teacher-led, and it's part of our career path, career trajectory. People that want to have leadership, participate in things like the portrait of the graduate work. We are working on a personalized competency-based learning model, and many of you already know about this because you know about PC CAPS and you've taken a course in PC CAPS. That's a good example of a PCBL model. Preschool, the expanded access along with before and after school care is an amazing community offering. In student services, you learned a little bit today about We All Belong, the Move This World curriculum. We talked about all that in spring, and promoting educational equity. In our secondary redesign, we are doing the implementation planning for this year. So as of next year, 25-26, when we come back, we will have 4 pre-K to 5 elementary schools, a 6, 7, 8 middle school, and a 9, 10, 11, 12 high school. The comprehensive high school will allow students to take more than 250 courses. It's pretty amazing, our high school. Our next steps with our OCR, monitoring, we did have our all staff training on August 14th. That was video recorded for anybody who might not have been there. We also have the required modules that all staff participate in annually, and this reporting will be available for reference. Our We All Belong campaign has launched. We are talking about the high school having a school climate culture strategy committee to help students own this work going forward. We're continuing our Treasure Mountain advisory and wellness programming, and then the cell phone free school day, depending on your policy decision tonight. But that would be, the phones are away all day. So it would, and this would mean in 6th and 7th grade, they're in the backpack, which they are currently. In 8th and 9th, we're piloting or trying the pouches. So that means the phone goes into the pouch, it's magnetically sealed, it stays with the student though. Nobody else takes it away from the student, it's still theirs, it's in their backpack. If there were ever a real emergency, you could cut these things, they're clocked. You know, so you could get your phone if you really had to, but the idea is it's not a temptation. And the idea then is that you aren't just, triggered to look at it, and because of the clock, it's got a patent to it where it won't get the signal. So even if you leave your phone on, it's not gonna be buzzing at you and notifying you. Now, it would be better to turn it off, because we don't want the phones to drain in those days, because at the end of the day, you might need it to call home for a ride or whatever, or to let your parents know you're on the way. So, cell phone free day, we're gonna try it. High school is gonna make some modifications as well. High school teachers have great systems. They've got the shoe pouches, they've got different things they want the kids to have the cell phone for, so it will be teacher directed. But most of the time, we would like to see it away. We really want to give kids that chance to not have to be so connected to their cell phone. They will be as adults. They can take a break and not have to be so connected yet. All right, next slide, strategic planning. There we go, next one. There we go. So the highlights for this month, we'll just talk about, you've already learned, the increased access to preschool, improving outcomes in achievement of food literacy, 2 big goals for the year. Leadership, reviewing district performance measures, which is annual. We will hear really October is when we get all of those results. Our mandatory topics training is also annual and has been updated. In communication, we launched a little chat bot. It's not perfect yet, but we're teaching it to answer questions. It only pulls publicly available information. So you can't go into your students' folders, you can't get assignments, can't do anything like that. But if you say, when is the board meeting next, pops up. So you don't have to go through so many clicks on the website. We are launching a new communication platform because the last one was bought out. So instead of getting a school messenger message, you will get a bright arrow message. It probably looks pretty similar. So for in case of emergency, voice, text, email. And then our ongoing community engagement efforts, you're going to see some community conversations this year and some other fun ways that we hope to engage our community, especially in our We All Belong campaign. I am going to just quickly, rather than talk through these deeply, there was kind of this article or rumor came out that our scores were not improving, but I just want you to see this. This is how the scores are looking at Jeremy, for example. You can see the kids continue to progress and achieve. At McPolin, for example, the next slide, kindergarten, 94% of our MLL students met their annual yearly progress goal on world language proficiency. That's amazing. We have scores from 73 to 88% on end of year assessments. The kids are doing phenomenally in our DLI school. At Principal Howe, you can see the next one, the blue and green dots. The green means we are growing kids at expected rates, meaning in a year, you're growing a year statistically, but the blue, we are growing them beyond a year. So we have English language arts students growing beyond the year's growth. We have science students beyond the year's growth. And again, some amazing outcomes. Harley's also implemented conscious discipline, which has been an amazing SEL. It's a strong culture in the school for proactive work with the students. At Eckerd Hill Middle School, so many wonderful things going on there. It's such a fun place to be. 8% increase in math proficiency from the year before, double-digit proficiency gains in science and ELA from 22-23. Great news at each of our sites. Principal Pike at Trailside, 91% in science. End of year rise scores for third grade. This is great achievement. What it means is that the alignment of this curriculum and instruction materials to the standards are, we're firming that up. That's been the goal, right? Improving our system so that kids are going to generate higher success. We had about 25% exit rate from needing the MLL support across our district this past year. And then treasurer, of course, also doing some amazing things. Their scores have gotten so high. It's actually hard to keep going, but one of their highlights is that 80% of our ninth graders are on target for hitting our ACT benchmark. So that was also wonderful and such a great effort on those weekly lessons to make sure our kids are hearing enough. We don't want hate speech or any sort of discriminatory behavior in our schools. We had great results. All of our kids from Park City Learning Center did graduate on time, 100%. This has been our goal for this program all along, and we are so happy to achieve that. And then you know the high school scores and all of that. We talked about that data last year with our graduating class, just amazing work, kids going to amazing universities. I met today with a student going to Georgetown tomorrow, and she's so excited. She's studying medicine. Special education, 24 of our 27 graduating seniors with mild disabilities are attending higher ed, but not only that, with scholarship. Amazing. Amazing. There's educators and parents who do that, to hear that. I mean, really, our special department went through its state audit last year. They did an amazing job. They were highlighted at the state level for the good work that is happening. So really tremendous results. And you all know, we talked about this a lot last spring too, the career and technical education, 19 career pathways, wonderful vertical alignment for the computer science program, national award recognitions at the NSBA conference, for the PC caps and the different programs that we have, the aerospace program growing so quickly, drone certification, kids saving 4,000 college credits, 19.7 million in scholarships last year. I mean, really quite amazing, lots of success stories. In our communications, our team has only been together for a year, but they secured 2 recognitions at the National School Board Conference, and they were, or not National School Board, sorry, National School PR Associations out of 14,200 districts. They received recognition for both the monthly newsletter that comes out each month after the board meeting and the podcast with its growth. So it's amazing. I do want to remind everyone at the beginning of the school year, the next slide, policy 9015, is that we do recite the Pledge of Allegiance. We also have an opt-out procedure. So if you as a family do not wish to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, there is a way to alert your school to that. Otherwise, we do recite the pledge. And in any classroom across the district, the American flag shall hold the place of prominence within each classroom over any other non-governmental flag. Even the state flag cannot be more prominent than the US flag. That is the federal US Flag Act. So we want to make sure we remember that. Would you like me to talk anything at all about athletics at this moment?
Let's skip that and then we'll talk about it during that.
Yeah.
We will be addressing athletics. For those of
Save
you
those
here
slides
to-
for later.
For those of you here to discuss athletic fields and whatnot, we'll be going over a Title IX report and then talking about where we are in the process of design, implementation, and timeline. Yes, we'll do public comment now. So if anyone has public comment, could you please give your blue slip to Lori, who's sitting right there. We'll be good. Okay, let's start with Barry Nan, on policy practices. We all know and supplement.
Hi, happy first day of school. Yeah, we had the last one in my house today, so. I got the, want to thank you all for everything you did to make that possible. I got the email last night with the We All Belong, materials. And it had a question on it, what is the opposite of We All Belong? So I'll tell you a quick story, that's what I like to do. My child has a sports contract. It's extremely well supported. He is very adamant that he attend to both the student and the athlete portion of his profile. His teachers are great at communicating with him. He's great at communicating with them. Everything works really well. It's a guessing game every year, which teachers are going to be ready for Rosh Hashanah, which teachers are going to have a test on that day, which teachers are then going to argue with him about that. And this is not the teachers trying to be difficult. This is the teachers not having a practice in place. It happens, and this is like year 15. So I've had this conversation a lot. And so what I wanted to say is I really hope that you're working collaboratively with your teachers, with your building leads to figure out the practices that everybody needs in order to avoid this. It shouldn't be, you should have a harder time dealing with the sports stuff than the civil rights stuff. I mean, it's that simple to me. Like I said, I'm really grateful he doesn't have a hard time with the athletic stuff, and I'm grateful that every time he does have a problem with the observance conflict, it eventually gets resolved, but it feels terrible to have to bring it up every year. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. The second thing I want to say is I wholeheartedly support anything you can do to keep cell phones out of classrooms. And I think the high schoolers are big kids and they can pull up their pants and deal with it. So if you have to be more aggressive with the high school kids, I think, you know, this is going to be out there and my kid's going to see it and I'm okay with it. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, we have 8 comments on fields. So what I would ask is that everyone keeps their comments to 3 minutes, and if someone before you says the same, you know, just note that and register your opinion. And before we start with that, we had hoped as a board and an administrative team to have a session on master athletic planning today. We asked for a number of things prior to leaving for the summer. With regards to data around participation, some of which will be discussed during our Title IX and our superintendent report. But we also asked for robust budget plans on all of the athletic facilities that are needed. Because while some of you may be here to speak about baseball and softball, we have needs that are in addition to those. And not to say that anything is more important or less important than that, but we recognize that if we are going to explore spending taxpayer money, it is going to take some time, more time than any of us would want. And we want to make sure that every stakeholder has their interests represented in this. We are likely to have to go at this alone as opposed to partnering with Face and Rec or any other municipal entity because of their current schedules and budgets and things like that. So just know as a community, especially the people here in the room who will take their time to come here and speak on behalf of Fields, that we will need your help as advocates to talk to everyone whenever it is that we get to a point where we can propose a funding mechanism for sports improvement. We all recognize that it is something that is important to us as educators and as the community. So please know that despite what narratives have been out there, we are in favor of continuing to pursue this. And we are as upset as you are that we did not get the responses that we requested. So we'll be looking into that.
I follow that.
Yeah.
That said, it doesn't mean that there isn't some stuff we can address. So it's not that it's all or nothing. There are concerns that many of you, I think, are here tonight to speak to. And we've heard, and there are options, and we've asked for some data and some proposals on how to improve things that can be improved right now. regardless of having, a big wide master plan of athletic facilities. So it's not for naught that you're here, and it's not that it's fallen on deaf ears or that there won't be some actions taken. We're not looking at this as a big event only type of analysis. There are steps legally that can be taken to address some of the very important and urgent issues. So we're hoping to do that as well.
So we'll start with Shannon Warner on baseball and softball.
Oh, can I just stand here?
Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. Taking 15 minutes to get up here.
1 minute.
Yeah.
So I'm here to support the baseball players. I don't have a baseball player or a softball player, but I do have football players. And I know without football, I mean, I would say the same about theater, if I had a theater or band or whatever. I just wouldn't 100% support them as a non-baseball softball player. And I would hate for that to go away, because I really feel like activities is what I always say, a bored child is a troubled child. So I really hope that we can figure something out to help support the baseball team. I know that as a junior mom football player, we talked about this on our group text as football players, and we 100% support the baseball team and we've been helping them move forward. So whatever you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're here. Yeah. Sarah Elder on athletics master plan.
I'm just gonna stand on them. I kind of wrote some, just want to read it. First of all, just thank you for considering the athletics master plan. So, there's steps to it, and I think everybody here just wants to see progress towards that. One thing I will bring up is that Park City, the constraints in Mason Rec in the winter time are outrageous. Like there's, I've got some data from Shelley, there's 1,800 competitive athletes in the city that try to share one field in the winter, and that's just not possible. You can't train at the level you need to train. You can't practice. It's not safe to have high school athletes when a toddler can just run out, which I've seen happen during practice. The high school needs a dedicated indoor facility. And the baseball team, just to kind of speak through that lens, they have to miss a ton of school because they don't host home games. They've had 11 home games in the last 3 years. 5 of which came because they went into the postseason last year, which is amazing. And they, even with the limited practice time, they're still achieving great things. But if they have a turf field, it could be plowed, like how soccer and lacrosse and those other spring sports have access to. They host games with snow mountains and tides. And they still keep do that right now. So whether it's turfing field in place as is, or, moving forward with an master plan, something to see that for this law. And, holistically, as you share your portrait of a graduate and things that, that are important there, you want someone who's a lifelong learner, someone who's collaborative, someone who's resilient and hardworking. Those things are built in the classroom, but also through extracurricular activities. Like these baseball kids here are here, on their own time. It's something they believe in. They're learning from their peers, they're learning from their coaches. And just those skills that you're trying to have graduates achieve, they're learning through these extracurricular activities. So we need to support that. Thank you.
Daniel Rogers, on athletic fields.
Hi, my name is Daniel Rogers. My name is Jacob DeVries. We are current baseball players on the Park City High School baseball team. And thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to speak here. We really appreciate it. In the last meeting, the Park City High School board asked us why baseball and softball should be prioritized in phase 1 of the athletic field master plan. Based on what we already know, football, they have a turf field, they have a home for practices and games, and it makes it so much easier for them to have home games, and allowing baseball and softball to have turf fields and spend the same amount of time on practices and games makes a better impact, not only on the skills, allowing us to go further after using the tree field, playing at the next level. And also allowing us to have more time in the classroom instead of having to drive hours for games.
Well, thank you guys. Okay, no different. Okay, Shannon Michaels.
Yes, different Shannon.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure. Sorry,
Stand here.
whichever you're more comfortable with. Okay.
My son cannot be here because right now he is on the football field. He plays multiple sports. We're from Texas. We moved here in 2020. I'm not here to compare Texas and Park City. I am here to tell you that my husband played baseball for the Dodger organization. We love baseball. We play all the sports here because that's what kids can do in Park City. We played for a travel team in Texas. Every single one of my son's players have committed to a D1 school already. My son is here. He missed his fourth period week after week. He is a senior. He is an incredible athlete. We don't have field space. He has to practice at Basin Rec. I have a 5-year-old. My 5-year-old belongs at Basin Rec. My 18-year-old does not belong at Basin Rec for practice. When we finally do get on the field, there are potholes all over the place. People are turning their ankles. The bathrooms aren't turned on. Sometimes that happened to us multiple times. I provided team meals for all of these baseball players last year for the away games. Our budget went twice over because we did not have any games. I have 4 children. I can only be in one place at one time. My family was completely spent because we were going to Juan Diego and we're going to Stansbury all the time. Why can we not have a home game here? We don't have the fans. My kids can't come. My 5-year-old cannot travel all day long and come home super late. I want my family to be a part of things, and y'all are splitting up our family by the way this sports complex works. I'm not even here to say the football field is fantastic, because personally, I think every facility, like you said, needs to be upgraded. But when I heard, in my understanding, and it could be wrong, is that not only did y'all say we're not going to move forward on the fields, but y'all said, let's get rid of the program altogether. I literally was aghast. I'm glad I'm wrong on that, because I was so disappointed in this school district when I heard that. I'm all for you guys. I'm all for the athletics. We have multiple players that have moved to American Fork. They've gone back to Juan Diego. They've gone to other schools. Why? Because there's nobody here to look at them. We don't have any play time. We went the farthest we've been since 2018 last year. We had no play time on our field. We had a playoff game. We could not even practice before the playoff game because we didn't have a field to do it on. I'm not mad at y'all. I'm just fired up as a parent. If any of y'all have children, you know you want to do things for your kids. Now, I am not here to say little junior needs to do all these precious things. What I'm saying is my son does not have equal playing ever because the conditions that are here. We need turf. We need a way to be able to plow and play for these boys. For my 5-year-old, I hope that someday my 5-year-old can play on a field where he has equal home games as he does away games. My son has missed so much school and he's my smart one. I don't even want to know. I'm just telling you, like today I had a mom that said that her chemistry teacher for her 9th grade, I'm sorry, is that my time?
Yep.
That's my last sentence. The
The
ninth grade daughter was told in her chemistry class who plays sports, if you have this and you play sports and you're in your 4th period, you will never be allowed to make up any of your work. What would that happen to my son? He's literally missed his entire 4th period. He's been on varsity his entire high school career. He would literally not have a 4.0 like he has now if those teachers were not gracious, like this chemistry teacher is doing to that student right there. I'm asking y'all to please provide for these kids. They want it. We want it. Y'all want it. We were top 6 last year. Think of what we could do if we had a field. Just think of what we could do.
So just some background, and some of you guys have been here a long time, some are relatively new to the community. In 2015, there was a master planning effort, which included a lot of, it included an ask, I think of around $65 million, which included some athletic upgrades. It didn't, to my knowledge, didn't include baseball. A lot of the money was based on moving the football field. It was somewhat half-baked, and the community voted it down 2-1. Because what we will need to do in this situation is have a bond, right? This is gonna probably be in total, I'm not talking about baseball, I'm talking about everything we need is probably 50 million bucks. And that's what we're trying to get our head around, is how much it is, maybe 60, right? And, well, I mean, we'll see, right? We're gonna see what everything costs, and then we'll have a dialogue with you, with the community. We'll have sessions. We were hoping to schedule those today, but again, we don't have the information we wanted, so we'll schedule them next board meeting. But it's gonna really come down to you guys as parents and athletic supporters to convince your neighbors and the other taxpayers to vote for this. Because we agree wholeheartedly that in the Complete Child, we agree that kids have better outcomes when they're playing sports, when they're doing extracurricular activities. However, we don't have the power to simply raise taxes to pay for this. We have to have, in this type of expenditure, we have to have community buy-in. So that's gonna be our collective problem, our collective project, over however long it is that it takes us to get this done, hopefully sooner than later. But just so you guys, because you guys are the ones who are here, taking your time out of your day to support this. We will need your help, right? And the new board members are gonna need your help, and the administration is gonna need your help in explaining to people who don't have a stake in this, why it's so important. So thank you for coming, and just know that we are all supportive of this. We just need to make sure that it doesn't blow up in all of our faces, right? If we roll out something that's half-baked, people get mad and they'll reject it. If we try to piecemeal it, they'll get mad and they'll reject it. And that's where we're coming from. So we totally hear your frustration. You're right to be frustrated. You're right to ask for what, communities like this should have. And that's where we are.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Me. So I'm here to represent the U7 program, which is new. We didn't have a U7 program. So we built one. The dads. My son is out there playing right now, and it's all coached by the fathers. So what I'm here to do is offer up my support and offer up solutions to rally the community so that we can continue to have baseball as a meaningful sport in this community, because I do think it gets overshadowed by so many of these other sports. And I understand that, but for my 6-year-old, it's his passion. And it's meaningful to all of us. So we, as parents, are here to do whatever we need to help you guys keep this a reality. And I will rally the support. I will campaign for you guys. I'll do whatever we need to do to keep this a reality, because it is important to a very large sector of our youth. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
And just so you guys know, because this is important. Once something like this moves forward and becomes a ballot issue, none of us are allowed to talk about it. We're not allowed to promote it. We're not allowed to talk for it or against. We can present facts, but you guys as supporters of, I will say athletic supporters, but I'm not gonna say. You guys as advocates and people who really have a vested interest, you're the ones who will create the community and will create the hype and get people excited about it. And so, this is the start of a conversation today that we're gonna need your guys' help on. So thank
We're
you.
here to help. Let's make it happen.
Thanks for coming.
Last comment is from Kathy Britton, on budget and tax increase. We are gonna, just so you know, we are gonna have a separate public comment on truth and taxation. If you wanna wait till then at 6, or you can speak now. It's your choice. Okay, cool. Come on up.
Kathleen Britton. I've lived in Park City for 40 years, worked for Park City School District over 22 years, in the state office for 10. My questions are the tax increases that you're proposing. I want to know these are my questions. I want to know why we have to raise our taxes when every year we're giving back the state through the MSP equalization millions of dollars. Why can't we look at our budget and be more fiscally responsible and use the current money that we have? I don't disagree, teachers need raises, your classified need raises. I'm not not against that at all. What I'm against is that you keep raising taxes. People like me that have lived here 40 years are going to be taxed out of this town. So how can you explain why you're not using the current funds that we have fiscally responsibly and have to raise our taxes again at a very
So-
large increase?
Yeah, so just a couple things, and we can get into more detail with Randy in the truth and taxation hearing. The money that we talk about that's taken from our district and goes back into the state coffers is about, I think it was what,
29.2 million.
$29.2 million. So
Yep.
that, just so everyone knows, that's outside of our control. That's money that's collected by us. That's paid by you, that's taken by the state and distributed to other districts, right? So that money, we have no control over. It is a significant part of our tax revenue, right? And so, hold on. The tax increase, and we will go over the numbers that, we are raising it by, is actually less than what we anticipated and less than what we previously announced when we first did our new employee contracts. So the vast majority, and we're happy to go over the budget with you, offline, but because we don't have the time for it now. The vast majority of our M&O budget is compensation. And it is the single biggest variable for us as a district when it comes to our. So the simple answer is why are we raising taxes? It's because we wanted to give a living wage to our employees, and we wanted to give our educators and our support staff a raise that was commensurate with not only inflation, also with the increased cost of living in this community. So we can debate the merits of that, and we can debate the magnitude of that, but as a simple explanation, that is the reason that we raise taxes. And happy, and I think, it'd be great for you to spend time with Randy, and I'm happy, and all of us are happy to spend time with you to go over the specifics of that, but in general terms, that's
I'd like to just make a correction. It is not, we do have control over how much money we spend that. That is on a formula by the amount of money from the WPU and what our tax was brought in. And then it's based off of that, and whatever's left goes back to the state. And most people in this room right now probably don't even know $29.5 million is going back this year. $25 million went back last year. Our taxes went up last year, and our taxes are going up again this year. If we would use our budget correctly, we wouldn't have to send as much money back. That's the final word on that one. Secondly, the declining in enrollment. Enrollment throughout the whole state, it has been projected to decrease over the next decade. According to your budget, you're saying our enrollment's going to increase. Over the last 10 years, our enrollment has gradually decreased. So I don't see where you get that in 2 to 4 years, our enrollment is going to increase, that we need more space.
based on permitted building. So, if you just look at the Boyer property, the tech center at the junction, that's moving forward, and that alone is 1,200 units. And so we're just looking, we don't know for certain, but what we can do is look at permitted building in our school catchment, and we can predict based on that, how many families are gonna come here. As we build more affordable housing as a community, that's gonna bring younger families that will make it affordable, and that's a good thing. So look, it's a prediction. It may not be accurate, but it's based on the information we have. And again, happy to discuss that further. But that's where that.
One last closing thing is, nobody can afford to live here with young children anymore at $2 million houses.
Yeah.
And that's all I'd like to say, because myself cannot barely afford to live here now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's,
Make a comment.
oh, yes, of course, yes.
My name is Wendy Miller, and I would like to support the comments that were just made. We are from New York. We left New York because one of the reasons, their taxes are outrageous. But I must say that the school budget, the people in the community would get to vote on the budget. And there were times it was turned down and they would just have to redo their budget. Some of it got through. But here, and we have been to a number of council meetings and board meetings. I'm sorry to say this, but it doesn't seem to matter what anybody says or what anybody says they can't continue to do. Because the decisions come out the same and taxes go up. I wasn't here at the meeting last year, but I understand that a comment was made that said that the board understood that constant tax increases down double digits was not sustainable. And yet, here we are again. I don't necessarily live on a fixed income, but some people do. And there is just simply not the understanding that while we would all like to have everything wonderful for schools, that this isn't the super wealthy community all across the board that people seem to think. And I know this won't make any difference. The taxes will keep going up, but you're right from last year. This is not sustainable. And someone who could not be here tonight asked me to make this comment, and I'm sure it will be offensive to people, and I apologize. But I did say I would transmit the message that these constant tax increases are really nothing more or less than common theft. People are obligated to pay it. They can't pay their bills, and yet more and more is being taken away from people who need the money to pay for frills. And I'm sorry to say that, but as I said, I come from a community in New York where taxes are a huge problem. And they were not this bad.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris.
One fact, which I think is important that most people don't understand. Just like Andrew asked people for support for the athletics. Well, the fault in one respect, and I understand the comments we just got, is not with the school board. The fault is with the state legislature,
Yes.
number one. Number two is there was an effort to redo the equalization formula, which wouldn't be giving back $29.5 million. There are only 2 districts in the state that do it. Because other jurisdictions do not want to tax themselves at a rate that would pay for their school districts. That's why we pay that kind of money. If you really want to fight, talk to your representatives and say, this is not fair. We are being taxed out, as you've just said, and we need some kind of solution. So this district and another district don't have to give back $29.5 million. This coming year, we gave back 20-something the year before, and it keeps on going up. So it's, the problem doesn't lie with the board. The problem lies with the state legislature, and when you vote this year, challenge your representatives about why they're not taking care of the districts that they're representing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, let's go into athletics report. Jamie. Are you here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Could you join us, and anyone else on your team? And then, and we'll kind of tag team. You, I guess you start, and then if Joe wants to interject some of her own facts. Perfect. We'll leave it to you guys.
Good afternoon, everyone. Certainly appreciate the sentiments about the athletic facilities. Goes a long way. So we have, Trish, are you able to put this out?
Right up, you change like the 3-year numbers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so just so you guys know, what we're gonna do is we have 12 minutes till we have to have our truth and taxation hearing. If you're still going, we'll take a pause, do the truth and taxation, and then return to the discussion around athletics.
I'll move.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna cut, it's not trying to be rude.
So do all of you have this copy? The one that's in the Lori?
In the board.
Okay, so it's in the book, okay, I see that. So this is according with the new Utah code, this Title IX report. I will say that we are going to be doing, yes. Got 2 extra.
Thank you.
I only brought about 3, so. Myself and Mr. Santa Rosa will be doing a little bit more of a detailed Title IX audit this fall, because realistically, when you look at this report, they don't ask for a real lot of information. So the information on your sheet isn't, as detailed as it possibly could be when we're talking about Title IX. I will apologize, there is a column that is missing that would have totaled spending amount, travel and coaching. That would have been right before spending per student, it somehow got deleted off of there. There's also a column missing for officials costs. Arbiter Sports, who we use for scheduling and paying for our officials. They usually don't do this, but for some reason they scrubbed their data over the summer, so I could not pull reports from 23-24. However, that would not change the ratios very much on here. So as you can see, what the report asks is the number of gender designated sports that we have. We have 11 gender designated sports for girls. We have 10 gender designated sports for boys. And we have 3 that are considered mixed or co-ed through the UHSAA. It might surprise people, but those are football, baseball, and cheerleading. So those numbers don't necessarily get added in, although I've done the numbers with those in. So it does, change things a little bit. The one thing the report does ask is for us to compare the discrepancy between male and female. And being 11 to 10 on the gender designated sports, we are 4.8% in favor of female. Even though football is traditionally and baseball are traditionally male dominated sports, we have had females play on those, they are considered co-ed. So we do have to strip those out, but I did do my own numbers with those put in here. Obviously, we have added Mr. Santa Rosa as Title IX coordinator for the district to help out with our efforts. You will see some discrepancies. The discrepancies, some of them can be accounted for in just anomalous years. Somebody buys 2 sets of uniforms because it's time to buy uniforms. Golf, for example, you'll see boys golf number is about 5 or 6 times what the girls golf, because boys golf bought 45 bags with their budget that both the boys and girls share. But it wasn't reflected on the girls' budget, it was reflected on the boys' budget because it didn't come out of the girls.
Can I ask you a
Yes.
question about that? Are they using the equipment like that when it's purchased? I know most of it has to get returned,
Yes.
right, after the season, so you're buying it, but you're not keeping it.
As a student.
Right, as a student.
Yeah,
Right.
correct. Yeah,
So
the
you buy
spirit.
the uniform, but you have to turn it back.
Yes, the spirit gear part, like the sweats, the warm-ups, many times those are kept.
Right.
So, yes.
Okay, perfect, thanks. Is this just for, the ones that have like a specific location for the practice that we're?
No, it's for all of them in terms of practice and games. So for example, you'll see both cross countries, it says varies because they don't run in one place. They'll practice and have events in many different places.
So does the mountain bike team not?
Mountain bike doesn't go under there because they're not one of our sanctioned sports. It's a club sport that we do not, technically, we don't sponsor.
Even though they're awesome.
Correct, they are awesome. They're very.
Best team.
Yeah.
Best team ever.
So, and best team and largest team.
Yes.
And then one more quick question, these numbers of students are those that made it on the team?
Yes,
that
those are-
participated, not the tryout numbers?
Correct, they asked for the competing, the numbers that were competing.
It'd be great to see, so I assume it's in here, the data, but is there a discrepancy in the overall budget, men versus women, or is it?
Yes, yeah, so let me look at my notes here, so, total girls, you're looking at 413,000, essentially 414,000. Boys, you're looking at 437. With a little bit of change on it. Per student, the per student spend overall, when you're looking at that, per girl, it's about $1,143. Per boy is $1,201. So you're looking at about a $60 difference right now in that. Again, that does not include football and baseball and cheer in those numbers. I've broken those down as well. When you do that, girls come out to be about 1155 if you add cheer as a traditional girl sport. And if you add football and baseball into the boys, it pushes boys to about 1572 in terms of average spend per student.
Because realistically, do we have girls participating on football and baseball?
We have in the past.
Yeah.
When you say realistically, every year, no. It varies, and that's something we can promote. I mean, there's a massive push. I'm trying to think, there's probably 30 states now that have girls flag football, and I'm expecting that to kind of push into Utah here in the next few years. Coming, but and as you know, with the legal challenges that are still going on, I believe, down in the valley with girls tackle football. That's still a possibility that could show up, but, trying to promote girls to get in, and I haven't talked to the youth conference about how many girls are playing,
Yeah,
with the youth conference. But that is one way that we could help promote, that aspect, and even with baseball. Promoting youth baseball for the girls.
okay.
What about, practice time? Is there any data on field usage or split there?
We should do this next time, that's at least you said as a guy.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Santa Rosa can talk to that a little bit too, because he's actually gone through and he's been doing all that and asking all these questions. The spring is really where the issue comes up because of field space and because of snowpack. And we haven't had any issues. It's usually we get in a room, before we start and who wants what when, and then dividing that up equally. So between boys and girls lacrosse, having Matt Canute, having Dozier, and now having access to Trailside with the new turf over there. They've got access to about 3 or 4 fields, so they usually alternate and rotate. This year, the boys might practice at 4:30 to 6, and then the next day the girls could be out there from 4:30 to 6.
So-
Split it up.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
Then like to get to Trailside, so are you prioritizing like varsity older kids sports? Cause getting to these
Yes,
places
correct.
after school
So
is an issue.
We are still battling that and trying to figure out what that looks like with our shortage of bus drivers and figuring
Right.
out what that transportation looks like for them. And yes, it is easier when the older kids can drive
The
and get
ones
there.
and the younger
Yeah.
kids. Okay, and so this is where we're running to the baseball softball, there's no other fields in
Correct,
town.
correct. That's where it's hard to grow that program, it's because baseball theoretically could have 3 teams, when we look at who we play. Softball could do the same. But with only 1 field, it makes it real hard with no lights to be able to get 3 teams through, with practices. And then with games, because when you've got games, then you have no place to practice.
So have you guys, we've asked the architects, but have you guys got a wish list of how many fields ideally you'd have? So for all sports, so let's say for baseball and softball, you'd have 2 fields each. For lacrosse, you'd have 2 fields. For football, 3 fields, or whatever it is, right? Have you done, I know that you've asked for certain things, but have we gone through it in that way?
I have not, because we wouldn't have enough space to have the fields that would be needed. The plan that MHM put forward with the input that I had on that would accommodate us very well in terms of our needs.
Which version?
Yeah, sorry. So it would, Scott, option 1,
Yeah, that's the main trigger sports field with freeing up space for parking and other facilities for your current baseball, softball, whatever field.
that would be the one where Dozier stays where it is with some improvements. Baseball and softball and tennis are moved here onto this campus with 2 new pitches where Treasure is, and then potentially the upgrades to the gymnasiums. Field house.
And what's the plan from a Title IX perspective to get the spend, or what's best practice to get spending back in line? We're at 58% spending on men and 42 on women.
Yeah. It's always to promote women, the girls' sports, it's never to try to take away, it's like softball's a good example.
Yeah.
Softball right now has some money in reserve that they're getting ready, they can do some projects with, they've been able to build some capital because they've increased their fundraising. Baseball has done an amazing job in fundraising for the last 10 years, at least a little bit longer since I've been here. And we now have a coach in place with softball that we feel real confident in that's gonna be able to raise that program. So essentially, the rising tide raises all boats. It's trying to get the ones that maybe not are spending as much now, it's like, what can we do to help you raise more money, get more funding to bring them up with?
So is this spending here, is this privately raised money, or is this?
So the spending amount is, because we are paid to participate.
Pay to play.
Yes, pay to play. And so that spending amount is what those programs spent from when I get the report back from the financial secretary, when I look and say, what did they spend last year? That's that number. The travel number, minus a couple instances, is coming from the district. There's a few trips, lacrosse went to Colorado, girls lacrosse went to California. Baseball went to multiple trips to St. George. So some of those numbers, probably 90% of it is district funds. The other 10% is from the team funding. And then the coaching on there comes from the district as well. That's the coaching amount that we pay for stipends.
Okay. Can we pause this conversation for a few minutes, so we can, do our truth and taxation hearing? If you guys have a few minutes to hang out.
Yeah.
All right,
You need a motion to extend.
Have you added up all of
we're gonna pause.
That motion, our public meeting going till.
Okay, I've got the order in motion to pause the public meeting. And go to truth and taxation.
Make a motion to pause the public meeting and go into the taxation.
All those in favor? All right, we'll open the truth and taxation. We'll declare the 2024-2025 truth and taxation proposed budget public meeting hearing open. Do we have any public comment for truth and taxation? Okay, with no comments, I will declare the truth and taxation proposed budget public hearing closed. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the proposed budget as it is presented in the June 18, 2024 budget hearing and to set the following tax rates for the same budget period. Total tax rate of spot 003701 broken down as follows. Board local levy, and these are rates set by our local board. Board local levy, spot 001348. Voted local levy, spot 000543. Debt service levy, spot 000140. The capital local levy, spot 00240. The rates set by the Utah State Legislature are the basic school levy, which is spot 001408, and the charter school levy, spot 000022.
And just know that that is a decrease from the June meeting on the 2.2 increment side of 1.65 saved about.
So the total tax rate of 1.003701 is lower
That's
than,
the new rate.
that's the new rate, that's lower than what we had
What's
discussed.
the average?
per family,
Yeah.
per million dollar.
So if on an average home, based on the numbers we have, I think it's low from an average. Rather than $133, it's gonna be $99 for the year. It saves about $2.5 million for taxpayers.
Okay, so can I get a motion to adopt the proposed budget as presented?
I make the motion to adopt the proposed budget as stated.
Okay, do we have any discussion around these numbers?
No, but no, I wrote my question.
All those in favor of adopting the proposed budget and taxation as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is adopted. I will now entertain a motion to close the truth and taxation hearing, the truth and taxation budget meeting.
I make a motion to close the truth and taxation budget. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we will now return to the ongoing public meeting, where we left off on the athletics master plan. Okay, so, for the board, what kind of questions and priorities do you have for JV and, guidelines around Title IX for the upcoming year?
Are you done with your presentation? Like,
Yes, unless there's other questions.
I have a few other slides if you want this. Is it go towards like some action steps or what are they related to? Maybe see those first and then the question would be. Sorry, switch back to the deck.
It's probably a cart and horse, because I sat through softball practice and been using that
Yes,
ridiculous.
I remember.
And that was my comment that I made, is why would we set those goals up to fail, because I was.
I took your comment that way, Ann, and when everybody came to me and were like,
Yeah.
how could you say that? It's like, I think it was more tongue in cheek. That's like, if we're not gonna do this, then.
I mean, I sat,
I
I
understand.
almost got hit by 5 softballs, because that's the worst place to have
Yes.
practice. So it's like, how do you get more girls to participate in something that we're not really supporting, because they really had a half-baked practice that I saw.
Yeah.
So I'm 400% behind it, but it's kind of like, how do you get more girls involved
Yeah.
if you're not gonna provide a safe, proper facility to actually play
Right.
softball?
When you're looking at, I'll let you go.
Okay, sorry, yeah, all right, so we are working on that educational equity and access point through the hiring of the second activities director. The search is actively underway, expected to conclude this week with the addition of that person, hopefully by October 1st. But part of their job duties do include this Title IX compliance, the addressing the growing demands, because I have a slide later that shows that even with declining enrollment, we have just more kids who are participating. Training and support for the coaches, assessing the program needs, which is ongoing. We have candidates and people who are really talking about expanding that middle school access so that kids have intramural experiences. We don't currently have that program underway other than MASO, which is wonderful, but you know, we can bolster that. And then we are working towards achieving national recognition and designation for our teams in sports because they do such a great job. Go ahead. This was just that little visual of what we had talked about already. In 2013 was that original athletic plan. In 2015, that found referendum did not pass. So that is why in 17, when we reconvened on educational specifications and academics. So that plan at the end of 17, when that was concluded, it was handed over then to the next group, the next phase that did a 30-year plan. And in that 30-year plan, they included the conceptual design for the athletics. But last year, the board prioritized and funded the athletic master plan, which has been going on since November of last year. We looked at external survey data, internal, existing site analysis, did some concept development, which is kind of where we were in June. And then some phasing and costing, which we talked about a little bit here. So that's where we are in that plan. Scott is here as well, the architect tonight, just in case you have a question. The next slide I think is interesting. It's each of the sports and then the participation numbers over the 3 years. You can see 761 total enrollment athletes, boys and girls in this last year, up from 676 year before, 657 in 21-22. So you can see that our kids are actively engaged. Obviously, you can see football, 130, 119, 134. So they're able to have the larger participation because they have space on that field to do their drills. But you can see participation pretty consistent across the wide variety of sports. So I thought that this was the data the board had asked for. So we have that. And then this program demand and space issue, Scott actually has a better slide than this one, but this one, it just shows you that in that winter, spring, we have more than 9 sports in that time where it's such awful weather, and they're outdoor sports. So, you know, and the kids practice, their practice season before they actually get started. This is also where some of that overlap occurs. So Scott actually has a better slide that shows this overlap of the shadowed area of where we need the more fields or the more space to get these practices in before the seasons even start. Am I capturing that accurately? Thank you. And then here are some other ideas, because we talked about, we have to brainstorm a little bit on these. So for example, we heard from softball and baseball. Thank you for sharing those ideas and, you know, some of the realities of what's happening in those. We also look at lacrosse and soccer. Not all the kids can participate because we do have some field constraints and size constraints. Basin support is one idea for that. Basin has offered to allow fields to be available to if you tell, knowing that we have that.
haven't used that before. That's a new addition.
Yeah, we've kind of been doing that as a practice. I met with them in the spring, and their idea was to just release those fields to us. I just talked to Jess Moran today before I came here, just to clarify some things, and she goes, well, we're not going forward with that as a policy statement or anything. She goes, we've been kind of already operating that way, so we're gonna continue to do that. So, because, yeah, the rest of the stakeholders, the youth teams can't get on there before 4:30 anyway,
Okay.
so.
Softball, baseball, looking at that resource, actively working to address the concerns related to the field conditions and the overall program support. And we are in the period of that interlocal agreement of transferring some of that responsibility from the city back over to the district. It's a phased process that we're still working with the city on. But one of the ideas is to provide, what we would provide as a district, supplemental maintenance support of those fields from April to when the city takes over. City does not take over our fields until May 1st because they are on street duty until then, filling potholes and things from the winter. So if we hire, bolster, an athletics staff, instead of having our coaches and our parents plowing these fields, we have a team to actually do that, filling the potholes, ensuring a good playing field for the kids. And then, as Jamie had mentioned, that coordinated effort to access to different fields.
Okay, so the idea of this transition practically impacts this spring.
Yep.
Because now control over those fields makes the field better for use, like, I'm just trying to see increased access.
I know,
increased
so
ability to have home games,
I'm gonna share,
any of that.
I'll share this with you, so. The field, since, I mean, we've got to assume 4 weeks is probably about an average for in spring with baseball and softball, it's probably, well, 6 weeks is probably the average, 4 is probably early. For us to actually be able to get on those fields because of snowpack. There's only been 1 year since I've been here, since 2013, where we actually got on the field. It was yellow, we had low snow, I think it was 14, where we didn't have very much snow that year. And then within about a week and a half, they got kicked back off because we had a snowfall. And then they were able to get back on, and then we had a snowfall, and then they were able to get back on it because it melted. That's the only year. Every other year, it's 4, 6, 8 weeks we've had. Considering that starts the Monday, the last Monday in February, first Monday in March, depending on the way the calendar falls. I mean, they're going so far into April before they can even get on the field. And I do want to mention, just because the snow melts doesn't mean we can get on it because of the damage that we talked about. This year, the bowl damage was incredibly bad to where it's become a safety issue.
Yeah.
When we start in the spring. So it takes at least a week, probably 2, to actually prep the field after the snow is gone, to actually have it ready to be on there.
Okay, and if there's turf there, this isn't an issue.
Correct.
So what is the cost of redoing this field in turf,
Redoing which one?
the current baseball field? And is there a way to line a current field that we have for softball?
So it would make more sense to do the softball field and
Okay.
turf right now because it's smaller and
Okay,
it would be easier. That puts baseball kind of out. Baseball, I would not recommend turfing what we have right now because there is a 10-foot drop from the outfield to home plate in terms of an incline. And so to put turf on that, if we get water, any infill that's on there, whether it's crumb or natural, is gonna wind up all the way down at home plate. So we would, and Scott can talk about this, to mitigate the issues that we have at baseball right now and to just do new baseball. It's gonna be cheaper to do a new baseball field.
okay,
So
But
change
on-
the new field rather than regrade the existing.
correct, because we have a soil issue over there as well, when we're looking at trying to regrade that. So Scott, do you have the numbers on,
Yeah.
Slide.
and what would the numbers in terms of, doing baseball or softball as is?
So in the current location, you're looking at roughly what, 1.5 to 2 million for softball, probably 2 to 3 million for baseball.
for a new field.
For a new turf field in the current.
In the current
location.
location.
Jamie highlighted some of the issues, there's also a need for ADA accessibility to all those fields, and would that fit with that grade, you're gonna need to consider that as well. The soil mitigation that you've been fighting up here for years is an issue in that space, and would need to be considered.
Have we done any work on the soil? Yeah. See how big of a problem that is?
Not here.
Since you're building on top of it. The good news is you're building on top of it versus digging in, but we will have to build it up, then put a drainage.
Yeah.
Then put it, right, you have to build over, you can't dig down, but it is more level out here, it's level.
So,
All right, we'll keep going.
All right.
We'll keep going.
I think, look, again, I think we wanna, let's work with Scott to get more info and kind of sit down and either have a Zoom or something to say what we want for the next meeting, because I think, there's a few things that we can probably start looking at, such as what is the situation with our soil? How hard is it to get a CUP? How hard is it to, if we returf those, does it cut off other options later on for other activities? And then trying to get a real budget for what the total ask is from Jamie's department to, like a pie in the sky type of thing. We have enough fields for all of the demand that we have from all of our kids. And then share that with the community and see what our priorities are. So I think that's kind of where we're at. We have community interests. We just don't have the numbers to go with it for everything that we're asking for. At least in a easily understandable way, including how many millions of dollars it's gonna cost us to haul off soil, because we have learned that that can be a very costly aspect. All right, let's move on because we have only a few minutes left. We have a bunch of policies for decision. Thank you guys, thanks. And we have 2 contracts to discuss. So we have 2 contracts posted for the executive content, one for the superintendent, one is for the business administrator. We will start with the business administrator contract. I will entertain a motion to approve the business administrator contract that is listed in board docs through the 2025-2026 year.
I make a motion to approve the contract, for the business administrator for the county. Or as stated.
Okay, do we have any discussion on that contract? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. Second, we have the Board of Education contract for the superintendent through the same school year. I'll entertain a motion to approve that contract.
I make a motion to approve the contract for the superintendent through the same school year. I second.
Okay, do you have discussion on that contract?
I would just say that, my view is I would prefer that as a decision made by the
Here.
Mary?
I would second that.
And
I would just, having been here for 7 years, be really mindful of change and how it's executed. My preference would be to allow the 3 new board members, time to get up to speed and assess the situation for themselves and then they can make a decision.
I also feel that, I mean, I have a good thing to say about this, but I feel that it is a decision for the next board, and that is going to still have, they're gonna have an opportunity to do that when they take, when they get sworn in January. I think there is an appropriate time for us not to be making this decision. I think that is between the election and January, which is what the legislature says. I believe that timing, a superintendent position and even to consider an interim, if you're going to consider moving along, you have a long horizon. It's a job that takes, between a year and 2 years for the best districts and to get to attract the most, and the best superintendents. And I feel like that this contract through June 2026 gives this board, the new board, a chance to have the opportunity to decide if current superintendent is the right person for the job and will continue to be while they're onboarding. And I still feel that it's, as an elected official, finished my job, it's within my duty to do this. I also strongly believe that to attract a superintendent in a situation where we have some instability, perhaps with 3 new board members, not saying that they're not capable, they're gonna be totally capable of this, but it's a decision we make and I make based on a multitude of factors. It doesn't just include I've heard the constituents, I've heard both sides. And I appreciate that and I respect that. I've considered that. I've done a lot of thinking about this. And there's internal things that we review and work. Having been on the board for 5 years, that leads me also to believe strongly that if I felt this was reckless or somehow harmful to the district, I wouldn't make a decision to approve. This is not an abnormal manner to do this. Many districts across our state do this, and it's for stability. It reflects that the process for a superintendent to have the stability of knowing that there's work that can be done to continue some of the programs and the initiatives that are put in place instead of the instability of wondering, do I have a job? Do I need to be doing that? And for the internal staff to know there's some consistency and it's not taking away a decision. There's cancellation provisions in the contract. There are methods and ways for this next board to make some decisions when they get on. A month on the board, having my experience, I don't feel is enough time, and I feel that, frankly, Dr. Gilday wanted a chance to prove herself to this new board as, a candidate. And I believe we take that away by not, renewing the contract now. I also, just a piece of humanity to me, like, how we treat this process and what we do will be reflected, and it will be seen in a bigger picture in the long run if we have other people coming in and looking to work here. And I think we can nuance it and do it with some civility and some thought and some consideration that I believe is warranted. And it does take it through June 2026. I know there's some misnarratives out there that it goes to the 2027. It does not. And I believe strongly that this is still within an appropriate duty of ours, and it's the right time. And it allows for the new board to get on with the pressures already of the changes that are gonna happen. I'm excited to see them take on those roles and duties and make the right decision for them. And they have a chance then to get to know the current superintendent based on performance and my evaluations, both internally, externally, listening to everybody. I'm confident and have confidence that this is the right decision right now for this district, for stability and continuity. And frankly, carrying on while we go through this next change that's gonna happen, which excited to see how these next years go and the initiatives that we've already started and all the projects we've already started are taken on by new people.
Yeah, what I'd add is I think Mary Morgan's comments at the beginning of this meeting are important. And I've been doing this for 8 years, and I've seen ups and downs in terms of the relationship between the board, staff, and teachers. And also the relationship between our educators and the superintendent. I've seen good relationships, I've seen bad relationships. We get an update here every month from our associations, which represent 800 employees that we have in the district. And in the past 8 years, those reports and the relationship are at the highs. Are they perfect? No. Is anyone perfect? No. Could things be better? Always. But we take into account all stakeholders. We take into account all of our constituents, of which there are like 10,000. And so what I would ask the community is to echo what Mary said, which is to have some civility in some class. And for someone to get on the radio and say things that are only partially accurate or partially true, and have people demand that that's the right thing to do without sitting here in the seat, without volunteering thousands of hours, without taking into account other stakeholders is a bit, it's a bit foolhardy. So, five of us may not agree on all issues. No one in this community is going to agree on all issues. That's never going to happen with any decision that we make. However, it's our responsibility to each other to act in a way that's appropriate and to not make personal attacks on anyone. Not to make them on board members, no matter how bad of decisions we make, not to make them on administrators, no matter how bad mistakes they make, not to make them on teachers. And let's not lose track that this is still a wonderful place to live. We all came here for the people and a good community. And let's not change that. Let's not have that be the narrative because it gets clicks on APCW or the park record. Let's not allow the press to influence how we act towards each other. Because we're better than that, and are we all perfect? Absolutely not. Have we made horrible decisions? All of us have, right? And every one of you guys have. We're all learning along the way, and so, you know, again, I reiterate what my colleagues Ann and Wendy said. This is our job, we're elected to supervise the business administrator and the superintendent, that's one of our three main roles. The other one is budget, the other one is policy. And we're not perfect at any of them, but we do our best. And the next three people who come in here, whoever they are, they will do their best with good intent. And I ask that you give them grace, and you give the remaining two board members grace, and then you give the administration grace and a period for everyone to get to know each other, and figure out the way to work together, and to be a community, you know, and not attack each other like it's been going on in the press. So with that, I will entertain a vote to renew the superintendent's contract. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Because I would rather this decision.
Perfect. So that passes 3-2, and that is renewed. We have four policies for posting: policy 7020, employee drug testing; policy 7150, contract status for newly hired classified employees; policy 7155, classified staff promotion and transfers; policy 10045, attendance policy. I'll entertain a motion to post these four policies I've read.
Make the motion to post the board policies as stated.
A second.
Do we have any discussion on these for posting? Okay, all those in favor of posting four policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have 8 policies for adoption. Policy 1010, composting. Policy 3013, bullying, cyberbullying, abusive conduct, harassment. Policy 7061, shared leave. Policy 7175, administrative evaluation. Policy 9050, instructional materials. Policy 10046, cell phones. Policy 10100, safe schools policy. So I will entertain a motion to approve those 7 policies as read.
I make a motion to approve those 7 policies as stated.
Second.
Okay, Lori, do we have any specific comments on any of those policies that have not already been addressed?
No, I did include that spreadsheet in there for the cell phone comment, so you
Yeah.
should.
And just to acknowledge that those are positive.
Yes,
We have many
everyone
positive
was
supportive
Yeah,
comments.
every
about
single one is in favor of that.
Yeah.
All right, any questions or comments or discussion on any of those? All right, all those in favor of approving adoption of those 7 policies, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? No, okay, that passes. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn until our regularly scheduled meeting, which will be, September 17th.
I make a motion to adjourn until our next meeting on September 17th, 4 p.m. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Have a good night.